Hello everyone, welcome to Power Platform Learn. I'm joined here today by Michael Guzowski. I'm really excited to be doing this session, and it's on UX design, it's on user experience design. I'll tell you a little story about when I first saw this presentation. So I was at an event in London. It was a Dynamics 365 event, and I'd just been presenting in a different room, and I came through and I was like, I was all kind of like sort of stressed and all that sort of stuff. And I sat down to watch this presentation by Michael, and I realized that my mobile phone was missing. And the reason why it was missing was because it was on the desk in the room that I've been presenting with. And so whilst I was watching his presentation, I was a little bit distracted. So the beauty of this particular session is I am no longer distracted because I have my phone here. I should probably turn it off actually, and I will do that in a moment. But for the moment, we are going to kick this session off. I'm going to hand over to Michael. Before I do that, I'm just going to do a little bit on house rules, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the. Excuse me. Just going to get people to mute. Could I ask you all to mute if that's all right, please? So I'm just going to do a little bit on house rules. So we are considerate and respectful towards each other. So yes, be encouraging to the things that you see. We refrain from demeaning and discriminatory behavior. That's not just towards us as presenters, but also to yourselves as a community. And if we aren't observing those qualities, then please speak up about this. And I wouldn't expect people to necessarily speak up in a meeting, but please, if you do wish to speak to me, then you can contact me at rory@powerplatformlearn.academy, and there's plenty of ways of contacting me there. But for the moment, we are now going to go over to the exciting part, which is where we get to hand over the floor to Michael Guzowski, and he's going to be talking to us about UX design.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Rory. Thank you very much for having me. And hi, everyone, one more time. I'm super excited about that. We've got over 60 people right now, so wow. And one quick disclaimer before I begin, because probably some of you may know me from more technical topics, but I noticed some time ago, just before the event that Rory mentioned, where we met, I noticed that many developers and also citizen developers, the people that actually are not familiar with IT patterns of development and so on, those people were not really familiar as well to any kind of user experience patterns that will help build their apps better. And what I will explain a little bit later on, the proper UX, proper user experience is 50%, maybe a little less, but it's a big part of the whole development and deployment success. So jumping into the presentation, let me show my screen. Boom. You should be able to see it now. Let me just open the chat just in case. Yeah, okay, there it is. So I can see right now your questions. So yes, user experience in PowerApps. I know that PowerApps in terms of user experience is a little bit limited because we've got some set of controls, some set of icons. We can, of course, upload some of them, but it's not super flexible, but it's not really a problem. It's not a big deal that we cannot use some drag and drop and make some cool animations in the with the controls, because most of the power from the proper user experience comes from the proper setting of those controls and putting it in proper place responsively to each other on the screen. So at the very beginning, for those of you who may not know me, I'm Michael Guzowski. I'm working as a Microsoft partner. I'm in IT since 2012, and along this long journey, I was honored to get some of the certifications, and as well being Microsoft MVP. I'm working on 2 big projects right now, 2 big companies that I'm a co-founder and CEO. It's the Akademia Aplikacji. This is the mainly focused on Polish market company that create online courses around Office 365, Power Platform, and Azure. And the second one is Developico, which is a company that mainly do development and delivery of different Office 365 and Power Platform solutions all around the world. We've been in the USA, we've been in Norway, we've been in Sweden, UK as well, and of course Poland. Some of my clients, I think most of them are familiar to you. Maybe 2 may not, like NFM Group and MTSAB. Those are, one of them is a Norway company that is a manufacturer company of ballistic systems, and MTSAB is a construction company from Sweden. But mainly with all of those clients, I worked with the Power Platform solutions. So yeah, and before we jump into the really heart of the presentation, the proper patterns, I'd like to share with you a story of a fictional character, the Alex Wilbur. Alex Wilbur is a guy, he's an IT consultant, and I'd like to share a few highlights of his road to the office. So very morning, he's getting up, he's eating breakfast, jumping into the car and drive to the workplace. And in the middle of the way, he always drive under this sign that says no, just no, nothing else, just, you know, above the head flying sign, no. He get in the office. Before walking in there, he's jumping to the for a quick coffee to coffee shop, and then walk into the office building. In office building, he need to call for an elevator. Once he get there, he need to press the proper button to get to his apartment. Before he get to the desk, he need to after the coffee visit the bathroom and the toilet. And the funny thing here is that I'm always curious, wondering, I mean, what the designers think when they were doing that. I mean, like, imagine that both places next to things are occupied, and you want to wash your hands, and like, what should you do? Like I don't know. I mean, should you watch in the mirror to the eyes of the guys next to you, or maybe, you know, just make those funny lookings, like a little bit on the right, a little bit on the left? No, okay. So like, yeah. I'm always wondering that, and it's funny to me. But nevertheless, Alex is getting to his desk, and to get into the deep work focus, if you can mute yourself, that would be great, please. Thank you. So Alex wants to get to his desk and to get into this deep work focus mode. He need to put some good music and play it in his headphones. And whenever he finds something he likes, he want to mark it as a song that he likes. But he must be a little bit careful because sometimes Spotify is not really consistent in the design. Once he found a great song, he need to may want to put the volume a little bit upper, but one more time he need to be careful not to just turn off the laptop. And but still, of course, that is not a really big deal if we compare it to the funny idea of one of his colleagues. This is the software that he made is to control the volume, but in a very special way. So you may wonder, okay, Mike, yeah, user experience, right? So yes, exactly. Why did I tell you this story? So those are apps user experience sins that we should not make. First of all, lack of context. This is something that is pretty common in our apps, and especially when you're junior in creating apps and you're just a beginner who you know, for you from your perspective, it's pretty obvious what the screen is all about, but for people that doesn't know the app, it's not. We've got misleading information. We've got unclear design, information overload, no tests with end users, inconsistent design, increased error prone, and just a bad idea. And to be fairly honest, I know all of them. I did all of them. Yeah, but that's why you probably first of all need to iterate inside your of your designs when you sketch the screens, and test it a lot with different people. But before I share with you some tricks and tips, I want to tell you, does it really matter? Why the good user experience is really important. So in 2018, McKinsey published a report where they tracked the design practices of 300 publicly listed companies over a 5-year period between 2012 and 2017. And they did that in multiple countries and different industries. And interviews senior business and design leaders, collected more than 2 million pieces of financial data and recorded more than 100,000 design actions. The result was that they formed 3 key findings. First of all, the strong correlation between high McKinsey Design Index scores and superior business performance. Then the result held true in all 3 of the industries McKinsey looked at. So medical technology, consumer goods, and retail banking. And the last is total revenue, total TRS. That was I don't remember now.
I think it's total returns to shareholders.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. And revenue differences between the 4th and 3rd and 2nd quarter were marginal. So we can see that in the first, the top quarter, there's a huge difference because of the proper design. So yeah, I'm pretty obvious now. That should be clear to you that, okay, with a good user experience, with a good design, we can improve the overall results even in the business itself. I mean, it's not only in the, just comfort usage of the app, but also from the perspective of the money. What I want to tell you right now is that whenever we look at a design, we can identify 3 different levels of this design advancement. So first of all, if such design is simple or intuitive, we can then try to work on the productiveness of it. So if users using it really become more productive. And the last element that we should take care of on the very last of this order is its freshness. But in this presentation, I would like to focus only on this very, very fundamental elements. So simplicity, order, and intuitiveness of the app. And before I get into the details, I'd like to, just for a second, ask you, or rather tell you why this is so important when we are going to create designs. So first of all, probably you know Abraham Maslow, the guy that in 1943 created this pyramid of needs. And the theory there said that before you can go up into these pyramid levels, before you can start to care for your self-esteem or feel of love, being loved, you have to care for your safety, and before that you have to fulfill your physiological needs. So this simplicity, order, and intuitiveness is really a safety level. Why? Because whenever something,
I'm not sure if any. I mean, I was looking at that as being psychological, but I think physiological. That's food, basic. That's food and warmth and so on. Is that right?
Yeah. You're correct. So whenever it comes to this three elements like simplicity, order, and intuitiveness, whenever something is simple to you, it means that you can understand it, and it's not above your competencies. So you feel confident in working with it, in using it. Whenever your app, your design is ordered, it means it's less chaotic. You know what to expect. If something is not chaotic, you probably know what you can expect from it. So you feel like having control over the application. And last thing, intuitiveness. What really intuitiveness means, if you think for a second, intuitiveness means that this is something you know. Whenever something is intuitive, it means somewhere in the past you saw that in this or similar manner. So whenever the design is intuitive, it means it's really similar to something else that we already know. So now let's try to break down those elements. First of all, what to do, what we as a designers can do to make our user experience and the screen's design simple. First of all, remember about building a context. What does a building context means? So imagine that you created an app and your user open it up, and he's not seeing this screen, but instead he's looking at this screen. So company project MD16. Not really having a clue what he just clicked, right? If he will see business card reader, okay, now it's obvious. So you set his expectations. Okay, let's move forward. Now imagine that your app, imagine that your user opening up, and instantly he need to take some break. I don't know, maybe someone called him, maybe there is some emergency and he need to put the phone or tablet or whatever just down, yeah, with put screen down and get back to the application after 5 minutes. So he probably already forget where he was at. So he take first glance on the screen and he should immediately get an idea what he's looking for. So looking at this screen in the application, he may right now assume that, okay, messages. So probably I'm looking at the screen with some messages. Okay, good. I can search here. So probably it means I will search in messages. So that's obvious for us. But imagine that instead user will see something like that. Recents. Recents what? Recents messages, phone calls. Like, of course, once he see these icons, okay, he'll get an idea. Okay, so probably phone calls, but only the icons really save this screen. But to be honest, I think if the designers just add here like calls, recent calls, it will have much better. It will has much better design. The other example is you create, for instance, some form, and there is need to put a question or some toggle button with a description, and users see something like that. So now one more time, before he will be able to select his option, he'll need to read all of this description. All of this description need to be read. So does the car equipment is more important for you than the price you would, okay, so I need to choose between price and okay, so lower price or higher value. Okay, I get it. So but he need to read it first.
Yeah,
you can set his expectation a little bit faster, just to put a really nice headline that says price or quality, and then you precise what it really means in the description below. From the, let's say, technical point of view, you didn't really did a thing, because the context of the whole thing doesn't change, but the ease of using your application improved much. Another option is to maybe, instead of because in this example you've got, let's say, 3 controls: headline, description, and the toggle. But you can merge the headline with the toggle and display it like that. Okay, you want higher quality or lower price, and there is a description, right? You can also put a gray color in the description, just to make it less focusing, just to put it like a contextual information rather than a main information, because black is much stronger color than gray. You can also put it a little bit on the right. So now you can easily see that this is some additional contextual information, and you can look at it if you will not, if the control with its labels will not be descriptive enough. In that situation, you can also put the description in the black color. But let's step back into this option with this description below the toggle. And another way to build the context is to put icons. So let's say maybe 2 icons. And now, just with a quick glance, user knows that, okay, car, office, or probably renting a car, right? So yeah, it's now pretty obvious. Another thing to make your application simple is to use the space. And for instance, if you look right now on the screen, you actually feel that there's enough space to put something below, right? So you expect that, okay, Michael probably in the minute will show something there, and you will be right, of course. I just want to put this question twice. But if I'll put the question in the center of the screen, now I totally change your expectations, because right now I think you will not think that that there should be something above or below the question. And think for a second why. Probably because the height of this this group of information is higher than the space above and under the rectangle, if we will, draw the rectangle around those group of controls. Another example is from one of my first applications I've ever done. So this is the application to schedule posts on social media, and whenever I built it up, and even though I built that, after some time I forgot, like, what should I put in the post link?
Yeah.
And if once I put the placeholders, it was much more intuitive for me what actually the designer, which was me, expect from me as a user. So so yeah, around the simplicity of your app, that's all. And now walking to the next part, the order, how to make your app design ordered. So I don't know if you're familiar with Gestalt Principles. Actually, it should be pronounced Gestalt. So Gestalt Principles is a set of psychological principles that determine how people naturally perceive information and unconsciously attach extra meaning. So, and there are actually 7 or 8 principles, but right now we'll focus on 5 of them.
So this was the thing in the presentation that really stuck with me. I mean, lots of things stuck with me, but this was the thing that I got a bit more into, and I thought, oh, really? So I hope that people really kind of home in on this particular part. It's a really great part of this presentation, this Gestalt Principles. So go for it, Michael.
Yeah, I'm just writing comments, and someone asked if I still have Christmas decorations. Yes, because my wife really likes Christmas, and yeah, she likes the lamps. But we throw out the tree, so at least that. I'm looking right now for another questions, and I'll read them aloud.
Someone was asking about the slide deck, Michael.
Yeah. So I can definitely share it.
So that's fine. So if you share it with me, then I can make it available to the people that.
Yeah, but just remember that basically slides without the context, without all the saying that I'm doing, are from my perspective not that. I mean, they're quite empty. I mean, you've got the screens, of course, the app screens, and then some examples. But I think much more important is the presentation with all the talking. And fortunately, Rory will record the session and publish it on the YouTube. But of course, as I said, I will share a presentation with you as well.
So in the context of the course, there is a module called webinars. And anytime we have a webinar, once I get the chance to process the video, I then put the webinar into the webinar section. You can then go and consume it from there. But I do agree with you, Michael, that it's a bit like this whole subject, that the presentation was never meant to be just consumed on its own.
Yeah.
It'd be a bit like watching a play without music. It wouldn't make the same sense. So, but it can be a good reminder of the experience that you've gone through.
Yeah. someone also wrote on the chat that UX design does matter, as no matter how good the software, good UI sometimes is a deciding factor, especially in today's modern UI platforms. Good analogy explains that concept well. Yeah, that's true, and thank you for kind words. And there is a question: is there a lookbook for PowerApps that acts as an initial design for our PowerApps? If you're looking for inspiration, you can use app templates that are available in the PowerApps.com portal. But beside that, I don't know any kind of lookbook. Oh, there is also a quite big gallery in the community forum. I don't know right now, remember the URL, but I hope you know what I mean. There is a huge, community forum in Power Platform. So yeah.
I think that I mean, I don't want to talk about necessarily, but I think one personal recommendation I've got is to actually draw it before you build it. Obviously, the further you go with the platform, then maybe you don't need to do that. But actually, once you've drawn it, you can look at it and you go, oh, that shouldn't be there. That makes no sense. And personally, it's things like for all your apps, having a landing screen first, because if you went and got yourself a book, you wouldn't kind of start on page 1, you'd have a cover. That's just a personal thing for me. So I would recommend, to give you that fuzzy, warm feeling, rather than getting straight through to a list of data and so on, just have a little nice screen that opens up and kind of tells you what you're doing, because there's no effort to it really. And you know, it is a case of, the more you do of these things and use your apps, don't just kind of like, if you're never a consumer of your apps, then you won't get better at them. And it's only when you've used your app 20, 30, 40 times, you'll just realize how bad it is. And then you'll realize you need to change it and so on. But it's only at that point that really, use your app, build yourself stuff that means something to you.
Yeah. In my case, whenever I'm doing a project, at the very beginning, I was drawing as well with a pencil, right? But later on, I just realized, and this is, of course, only my methodology. I mean, it doesn't mean it's the best one. Rory can have his own. Some other people can have their own methodology. So yeah, that's just my methodology. That whenever I'm starting a project and beginning the analysis phase, I'm trying to quickly sketch, but in the Power App, I try to quickly sketch how the screen may look like. I'm just, creating simple buttons and screens and some simple input controls, etc. And I'm trying to cover all functionality as fast as possible. And once I did it, once I've done it, I'm trying to, put myself in the shoes of the end user and just, clear my mind with all my ideas about the app and open the app and with a fresh mind, try to play with the application. If that's intuitive, descriptive enough, I'm trying to click through it. And then many concepts comes to my mind, and of course many problems are being solved because I will see it, okay, this field is not descriptive enough, etc., etc. So my point is, don't try to make good design at once. Just be prepared for iterations.
Yeah.
And just try not to aim for the perfect design at the very beginning. Just put a pleasure in the journey, right? In this process of improving your design. This can be truly enjoyable, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, Valerie said that, or rather wrote that she mocked up the first UI she mock up the first UI and go over it with the key people. That's also a very good idea to bring key people, key users to the room and just try to build it and quickly reshape the app during the discussion. Then revisit after I've built the app during alpha and beta testing. I build it according to their needs, not mine. Yes, yeah, and this is a very important point. Remember that you're not probably you will not be the user. The user will be someone with totally different mind and different context of information. So yeah, just prepare to put yourself in someone else's shoes, not your own. And yeah.
I think one piece of advice though is that as early as you possibly can, get an idea as to the sensitivity of the people that you're building for, that they have towards color. Some people don't care, and some people do. And the problem that you have is that if you build one app and then two apps, and you just use the standard blue color and all that sort of thing, and then you realize 10 apps down the road that actually your buttons should be branded and all this sort of thing, you've got a lot of work to do now to change those to something that makes sense. And unfortunately, you know, you don't know if you're going to go to 10 apps when you build your first app, but there comes a point at which you need to be saying to yourself, hold on, I'm going to ask them about color. What means something to them.
That's great comment, and you get a little bit ahead, Rory, because I would tell about it, but after the Gestalt principle. So maybe let's quickly get back to the flow. So first principle, the proximity. What does it mean? So what does it mean? Let me just quickly ask you, how many rows of data can you see here? You can write in the chat. First number counts.
Okay.
How many rows of data? 4, 2. Okay, 2. Okay, first one was counting, so 4. I hope that people will. Oh, 6. Okay, yeah, because 2. Okay, nice, tricky, but I was expecting 4 number. Why 4? Well, because those are 4 different rows separated with this space. But of course, if we now put the information closer to each other, how many rows of data you will see? Probably 2, right? And why is that? Why putting information closer is so meaningful to us? So this is because the proximity principle that says that elements which are close together seem to be a group. We give them additional context, and we have a tendency to connect those information together. So remember about that. First principle, Gestalt principle, proximity. Second principle, similarity. So this, if I'll ask you how many buttons can you see here, what you will write? First number counts. 3. Okay, 3. Okay, so if I'll do something like that, now how many? Probably 2 or 3. So the similarity rule, or rather principle, says that elements which look similar seem to be a group. If you can always think about the saying that says, if it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it probably is a duck. So if we've got 2 elements that looks exactly the same, it means probably they have very similar action. Okay, next point is continuity. And now look at the bullet point list. Let's rearrange it a little bit. So now, if we didn't change any kind of information, we just rearrange it. So you probably now will connect those information based on its indent, right? Why is that? This is what the continuity principle says. It says elements which are ordered in line or curve seem to be connected, and you can easily watch it, observe it in this in our Power Portal screen, because you can see that apps are aligned, navigation is aligned, left side navigation is also aligned. You can also see something that is connected to next principle, that is closure. Closure principle, we are in the next principle, but the same screen. Closure principle says that elements which are creating closed figure seem to be grouped. So now, if I ask you how many apps can you see here, probably you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why? Of course, one thing is because they are in the same line. Another thing is that actually they're like covered by this invisible rectangle that that we can draw around this apps naming, right? Yeah. I thought, Rory, you wanted to say something.
No, sorry, I was just nodding.
Yeah, okay. So this is one example. Another example is this with the screen with rows of data. And now you can easily, even though there are no separating lines at the end of this information between each of the row, you can like feel that there is invisible rectangle based on the height of this colored rectangle with colored button, right? So yeah, this is because the closure line, so elements that are creating closed figure, we are giving that extra meaning of being a connected group of information. And the very good thing about it is those helplines in the editor, in the PowerApps editor. Always take care of them. I mean, use them a lot, because thanks to them, you can one thing is that you can put different controls on the same set the same height and set the same width, but also you can see if the application if the control is aligned in a closed figure.
Can I make a specific PowerApps at least exception to that? You know, when we build a form, you know, you can't actually line a label in box A to box B because they kind of can't see each other. Does that make sense? So one of the reasons for not using PowerApps forms is because it's actually quite hard to format them well. They're not very efficient from a space point of view.
Yeah.
And I mean, admittedly, my main reason for using them was because I didn't understand how to use Patch. But actually, they are quite problematic. So you can have something like a box which is 20 pixels wide, and the one below it, it'll be 21 pixels wide, but you won't realize it until you're miles away through the app, and then you're thinking, I'm sure these things aren't lining up, and then when you drag them, they kind of jump between. Then they don't necessarily jump to the same breakpoints as you might think. It gets pretty nasty when you're building forms, actually.
Agree.
So
Agree.
yeah, but yeah, when you can see them like that, it's a lot easier.
I never use forms. I mean, except some trainings and workshops, but in the production app, using Patch and having control over all kind of form fields, rather not form fields, but database fields is much way easier to me. Okay, the last thing, the last principle is a connection principle that says that elements which are visibly connected for instance, with the color, seem to be grouped. And simplest example is browser tabs. Another example is with the up part that you already seen, like those three elements, buttons or state statuses, those are connected with the draw black line, which means they are somehow connected, even though you're not, you probably not understand the words inside, but you can feel that those information are connected. And the final rule, the final principle is to use all of them at once. And this is the big struggle at the very beginning. But to be honest, it's once you will create 1, 2, 3 designs, it will be like really natural, intuitive to you. So let's quickly see this example. You can easily identify recent folders. So this is the proximity rule. Those elements are together. In the navigation, the same story. Similarity, of course. If you click on these 3 dots, probably you will see some extra options. This is why they look the same, even though they are in different places. We expect that, okay, there will be some extra information. Continuity, yeah, the same story. Recents, right? Recents is like building a closed figure. It's actually a closure principle. Yeah. In terms of continuity, this is the navigation and 2 columns of this folder. And connection, a great example you can see with this button. If you click plus, will you add a new folder or rather new navigation option? Of course, new folder, but why? That's why, because there is a fulfilled connection principle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of Gestalt principle, or rather Gestalt principles, that will be it. So we can move to the last part, what is intuitive design? And of course, as you already said, use pattern that your company or your customer is using. Okay, so remember that about asking for brand book. Some companies have a brand book, but of course not every company has it. So you can also check what kind of apps are they using. Maybe they're using Office 365 and have some SharePoint styling, some different colors, etc. Ask for that and try to make same colors, right? Another option, or rather another thing, is that this prompt, it asks you if you will you save your changes, and question to you, there will be 2 buttons. Yes, I want to save, and no, I want to do that. And where will you put yes button? On the left or on the right? The first 3 answers count. So I'm waiting for right or left. Where will be the yes save? Left, right, left. Okay, so 2 on the left. So probably the user, the person who said right, probably you're using Mac because Mac users has the yes button on the right, and the Windows users and Linux users have the right yes button on the left. So you should also be aware of what are the majority system used in the customer or your company on computers. And of course, in terms of intuitiveness, very important is the feedback. So of course, busy indicators. I think everyone knows what is busy indicators and how to implement in the application. You can use a simple GIF image. But another thing is this. Oh, no, not that fast. You can see here. Actually, those were 2 different screens. There was one screen, there was another screen. And whenever user clicked right button, this right arrow, he immediately get this screen, and it was like, okay, what has happened? I mean, what has happened with this title on the top? So I've created a simple animation in the PowerApp, because this is what you're looking at is a PowerApp. I created simple animation to like not surprise the user with totally different configuration of controls. I'm just actually I'm moving the title to the left and replace this block of text with an image, and that's it. But I do it in this animation manner, so user feel, you know, not really surprised by changes. People don't like changes. Yeah, and last thing is that our application should help productiveness. So first of all, remember that people first scanning before they read, which means all kind of black colors are like highlight. So if some information is less important, or it's just, you know, extra information that should support just in case, that could be gray out. And another thing is the colors, of course. Red colors are more important. They are very eye-catchy. Whenever you'll see, there was a research that says that whenever people see quick images, and there were, of course, the images were sliding so fast, people were not able to see what is in the image. But so all the, you know, colors are like mixed to each other, and they were asked what was the color of the most, what was the most frequent color that was in the images, even though red color was not the one that is most popular. People always said red color because red are super eye-catchy. Green is connected to, you know, relaxation. So probably you will always use green for elements that are not important, for elements that are, that meaning you can feel secure. Yeah, and black and white are neutral. There are more neutral color, I think. Gray is one as well, and I think brown, but I'm not sure right now. But there are more neutral colors. And last thing here is keeping low CTTCR, which is clicks to task completion rate. So for instance, in terms of creating PowerApps application, scrollable screen, imagine that you've got like form of 20 questions. There is no chance to put them in the one screen. You have two options. Put a scrollable screen and make user to, you know, scroll and scroll and scroll and then select, or split it to different screens. In that case, always pick the second option. Why? Because whenever you scroll, you need to be careful not to skip, for instance, another question, next questions, right? Whenever you just press the button, you already see the questions that are next to be filled out. Another example is this, where this is from the application to schedule social media posts, and I had this hour picker, let's say. It was just number control. So every time I want to schedule publishing, I need to press to this control, then remove the numbers and place the proper numbers, like, I don't know, 10, 16, whatever. And I thought that I don't need that details. I mean, I don't need to be able to put, you know, specific minute of an hour. The hour is just enough. And actually, the granularity of specific hours is enough. So I just put a radio button with some extra styling, and that was really enough to quickly and efficiently schedule the publishing of posts on social media. And some more example, the application that you already have seen. What I wanted to show you right now is the iterations I've done along the whole project. So that was the first design. You can see that it's not really consistent. There are so many information inside of this white space. So first of all, we asked user, okay, because this is some application for stock taking, and you know, there was not 3 elements on the list, but probably 300 or at least 30. So the information inside higher white space, higher than red space, will take attention of the user. So we wanted to, in this space, show only the most crucial information for the user, and the rest put a little bit above to just build a context just in case, but because sometimes it's needed, user need to have those information, but it was not super important at the beginning. So we put the name, some extra information about the customer, some serial number, etc., etc. And if you look on the right, it's the status of the item on the stock take. And yes, nastanie means it's on the state, but it's available. But right now, user need to read it to get the full meaning. So why not to just change it to 3 radio buttons with color identification? So now it's super easy to quickly identify is the element available, or it's missing, or it was moved. And of course, one more time, we cleaned a little bit the middle area. And that was the last iteration. So we also changed a little bit buttons. To be honest, to be fairly honest, I don't like design. I mean, I'm super excited with this section, but this section with the statuses and buttons, it sucks. I will redesign it for sure right now. But yeah, that was a presentation from 1.5 years ago or a year ago. So yeah, no need to.
But it's just a reflection of where we all are on these kind of design journeys and so on. You know, there's you know, it depends on how many. Like for example, with this screen that you've got here, then you know, if you're expecting to see 1,000 lines, then maybe this isn't the design for it. But if you're expecting to see 10 or 20, you're probably fine. It'll be absolutely fine. And so some of it does depend on that experience people are going to have of it. You know, how are they going to? What's the most normal experience people will have? I mean, clearly there's no search on here, and typically once you get past 10 or so records, you're going to end up needing a search of some kind and so on. But
no, actually, good point. But it was not needed because
exactly. But if it's not needed, then
because
you know,
you have to walk each row by another row. I mean, you have to do it row by row to check what is the status of the item, because you do it once a year. So there was no need for search.
Yeah, that's my point. Is it just depends on, you know, really what that specific need is at that time. So yeah, it's really it's all really interesting, and we've had lots of really interesting comments from people, and I think that they're all really important, you know, points about, you know, someone's observing that the contrast is a little bit difficult, you know, the red versus the white, you know, might be a bit tricky for some people. it's all but it's all useful, and but I think so long as we're just thinking about that, then everyone's got their own opinion about what that design is. And most of us come to this space, we're not designers, but we are in that position where if you're sitting there building an app, you are a designer, whether you like it or not, because you will never be told enough to be successful in building your apps. You're going to be sitting there designing along the way, because nobody's got the time to make 10, 20, 30 calls to a customer about the specific icon that you're going to use. Can I just make one point here? Does anyone know how much quicker the human brain processes images as compared to text? And by all means, chuck something in the chat. It might well be anecdotal, the figure that I have come across on the internet. And we've had a couple of suggestions: 1,000 times, 10 times, 25 times. And the figure that I saw on the internet was actually 60,000 times. Now, whether or not it's actually 60,000 or where it's 30,000, I think the answer is that it's probably an awful lot quicker than text. And the other thing is that now we can't actually rotate text in PowerApps, but rotated text is harder to read than straight text. And so these are all considerations for us to have when we're building things. Does anyone know? In fact, should we sort of? Did you have any more points that you wanted to come up with, Michael?
Like I've got more 8 slides more.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's rock on.
Okay. But before I continue, I'd like to highlight what Edith Kamkari wrote in the chat. So. I think Edit is she, her. She wrote that shouldn't the device play a role in button placement? On a mobile, I'd send the most used buttons, as in that way you're easily reachable. And that's a super important point, because for instance, if this application that you can see will be for different purpose, let's say ordering, right? And that will be the screen that you see will be your bucket, your cart, where you have all the items you selected to buy. And this application will be for tablets. So on tablet, you can work with 2 hands. And let's assume where you'll need the option to remove something from the bucket or accept it, let's say. So in the tablet mode, probably you'll put one accept button on the left side and cancel button on the right side, because they will be more easy to reach. But on the mobile, probably you will put closer to each other and probably in the range of a thumb, right? Just to be able to quickly navigate and cancel or accept the item. So yeah, this is also a very important part to design your application according to the most usable, mostly used devices.
So we're a little over time at the moment, Michael. So if we just kind of I'm conscious of other people's time. I'm kind of loving all this. I think people are enjoying it. But I'm also conscious that we should probably just take ourselves towards the end of the
okay, so I'll just quickly I'll just quickly jump through the next slide. So this is another example of the application that one of the screen you already have seen. This is another screen of the same application, and for instance, there is a image placeholder that also give a user feeling what will appear here, or what should appear here. in the last screen before user will be able to publish, you can see on which social media the message will be posted.
So
and
in those channels,
yeah,
if it's got a gray background for LinkedIn, does that mean it won't post it to LinkedIn?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Yeah,
that was the intention.
Yeah, no, that's really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, and also when I was using the app, at some point I was feeling a little bit like, okay, are those information connected or those information connected? Why, like, what were the grouping? So that's why on the last screen I put these little labels like channels and schedule, and that makes much more intuitive the designs. So straight to the summary. I think very good summary is those two lists of sins and remedies, and but if I'd like you to remember just one thing from this whole presentation, this whole webinar, one word, that will be empathy. That will be emotional intelligence, because trying to feel as your end user, putting yourself in his or her shoes is actually the key to success. Because those, for instance, those Gestalt principles, it's not like, you know, you have to tell it to Rory that, so he will now, okay, now at any point of time when I see grouped information, I will give them extra meaning. No, it's like it already happened in his subconscious mind. So all people actually using those rules, those principles, they apply to them, but subconsciously. So if you just start your empathy engine, you'll be able to even forget about those principles exist and still stick to them, because empathy is what drives them. And the one thing you should remember is to actually remember that your user know nothing, just like Jon Snow. And what I wish to you is that your user that knows nothing gets the hottest app in your company or your customer company. And if you'll want to get some more information, I can recommend those books. And if you'd like to have some controls or concepts or ideas or inspiration in terms of designs, you can check out those websites. And the last two are with images that you can use in the background of your app. The Inspire.io is a portal with icons that you can select, and the SVG code will be copied, and you can easily paste it from the clipboard to the HTML control. And the other links are with different ideas of inspirations of designs. So that will be it from my side. You can reach me out on different social media. I'm trying to be this year very active on LinkedIn. I'm getting back to Twitter. I'm starting Instagram, and I'm starting to blogging, and I'm available under email address. And so if you've got any questions, reach me out. Don't hesitate to do that. And thank you for your attendance. Actually, we ending up after the time with 56 people, which was like 10 people less than we started. So this is super result.
Yeah, no, we've had a lot of people. Some people.
Thank you.
Yeah, some people have had to leave because of family commitments and so on. If a little bit further up in the chat, I put a session survey. Now, this is important to me, not just because I know you guys have enjoyed it. You wouldn't be here if you hadn't. You wouldn't be here to the end if you didn't enjoy it. But the reason why it's worth filling in the survey is because it allows me to understand what you guys need. What's the best sort of session for you? So one of the things in the survey says, well, do you want show and tell sessions? Do you want make and build sessions? Do you want us to do hackathons? Do you want more of the sort of, a kind of, let's call Michael a super user, but do you want that sort of content? So if you complete that, then that will allow me to be able to give you the things that mean the most to you. And by the way, the session survey is also in the reminder that came in 1 hour before the session. So that should help. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael, firstly, for coming on. In fact, if you stop sharing your screen, it'd be nice to sort of, maybe it'd be quite good fun. If people want to share their screens at this point, it'd be quite fun to sort of see anyone who fancies sharing their screen. And if you want to say something, say something. Hey, Cheryl, nice to see you there. And it is lovely. So we've now got 1,400 and something people signed up for the course, which is brilliant. Now, because it's a free course, not everyone is actually committed to the course, but that's fine. People are busy, and that's okay. But it is fantastic, and although we are a collective, we're all individuals as well. And I really want you to get a lot out of this course. I want you to make amazing things for yourself, for your organizations, for the schools that you work with, for the charities, whatever it might be. Just want you to be, to get a lot out of this platform. I think it's really cool. And so the session we have actually got coming up next is a kind of a somewhat a prep session for the Scottish Summit, which is taking place at the end of February. And it is a session where myself and Peter Veenstra are going to be talking about the things that we have learned from having taught PowerApps to children. And you'd be very surprised at how much we've learned along the way. But I'm going to bring this to a close now. I've thoroughly enjoyed Michael being here, and importantly, for you all to be here and, experience his awesome presentation. I just want to, share it out to everyone. So thank you all for joining us. And I hope to see you again in future sessions. Please tell other people about this platform. I can't do it on my own. I'm not advertising. And so if you are enjoying this, tell someone else. It's, that's how we're going to get out there to other people.
Oh, and I can see that my LinkedIn link is not working.
Oh, thanks, Cheryl, for the Scottish Summit registration thing there. So that is free, isn't it? It is going to be absolutely huge. Please, go to these things, but don't be overwhelmed by them. Just do whatever it is you want to do. Like, there are so many sessions that certainly for me, I sort of think, oh my gosh, what am I missing out on, and so on. And, that's just how it is. But, there will be something for everyone there as well. Fab. Well, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you as well.
Michael's, I wasn't sure if Michael was going to last it right till the end, because his wife is expecting, and he's expecting a baby quite soon. So we wish Michael all the very best of success with that. And thank you so much once again for being able to relive the experience of this.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be able to share with you this UX stuff.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. You take care.